bacon and Mushu pork with homemade Chinese pancakes. Located at 4515 France Avenue South. Learn more at greatwallrestaurant.us. That's greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Good morning, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I'm glad you have made the connection and are with us today. I'm Lori Fitz, your host, and the goal of our show is to explore a wide range of topics that challenge us to see ourselves, our community, and the world around us in ways that get us thinking, get us connected, and perhaps inspired or challenged to do just a bit more because we've made that connection. Our topic today is being a hero and how to be a hero in the face of grief. And we'll be talking with Susan Hart Gaines about her new book, Prioritize Your Self-Care, Reclaiming Your Path to an Extraordinary Life. And hosting with me today is Rick Bernardo.
That's me. Hi. And I know Susan, not to brag, but I do for a couple of decades now in various roles. And I'll just start out with what those are because I had to stop counting at some point. But first as a coffee shop colleague. Then I found out about her writing, her personal gains column. I think it was in Metro Magazine.
That's right.
All right. And then as a certified life coach. And these all overlap. She didn't toss away any of these. And then now with her book, Prioritize Your Self-Care.
Susan, we're so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here. I'm really honored. Thank you for having me.
Terrific. I'd love to hear, what was the inspiration for your book?
You know, it really was when I looked at all of my life experiences through motherhood, divorce, grief, loss, trauma. I realized that the kernel in each one was the elixir of self-care that I took away from each one. And I really realized that that kind of deep self-care saved my life. And I wanted to offer that path to others.
I noticed the word elixir. Tell me more about what you mean by that elixir of self-care.
I've been really fascinated with Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. And in the 12th step of the hero's journey is the hero comes home with the elixir. And it's the medicine. And I realized that self-care is the medicine, but it's born of struggle. It's born of a journey. And, you know, I think we have multiple elixirs, but that's the word I love.
It's interesting because when I love Campbell, he's a fascinating hero's journey to face our world. Sometimes when you bring the elixir back, not everyone appreciates it. And I think what you're doing by bringing this elixir, this may be some foreign concepts to some folks. They may not understand what the elixir means.
Yeah.
And I think your book and sharing your story helps people connect to ways that they might be able to as well. Was there something that happened that allowed you to have that aha moment about your elixir?
Yes. I think it really started when a therapist, I was sharing a very difficult situation on the phone. It was sort of an emergency call, and I had a little baby in the other room, and I was still nursing, and my then husband was nowhere to be found. And she basically, rather than tell me that I was wrong about all the things I was fearing, she just said, "Take care of yourself, Susan." And I just wanted to kill her. I was like, what? What does that mean?
That's a mean thing to say.
Well, take a bubble bath right now?
It's almost shaming. There's this like, go take care of yourself. Go do
I
these, pat on your head.
I hear it landed that way, but you've got perspective on it now.
It felt at the time like something so small for something so big.
Yeah.
And it felt, take care of yourself is a flip thing that we say to people. And I didn't have the tools to know what does that mean? How do I take care of myself when I'm isolated and struggling? And what I realized later is that's a very deep thing to learn how to do. And maybe it's a lifetime of learning, what does it mean to take care of myself in this moment and then in this moment? And it's never the same.
And people can be very well meaning. They can see someone stressed out, and the admonition of like, you should do something for yourself and
Of
not always for
course.
everyone else is probably from a good place,
Yes.
but they may not know how it's, as Rick just said, landing
Yeah.
in that moment of
It sounded
chaos.
very confronting for you at that point,
Mhm.
and maybe has not been. Then you wrote a whole book about it, so it's not as confronting now, is what I'm guessing.
Right.
But
And it's not just, it's what I'm hoping my book does is take people on their own journey
Yeah.
to discover what that really means, so that, um, because only you really know.
Mhm.
Nobody else can tell you. They can, in all their well-meaning, say, please take care of yourself, and, with all their heart. But we have to learn, each of us, what that path looks like.
And we can hear it differently then too.
Absolutely.
It doesn't land in a bad way when we go, oh, that's right, I really should do this for myself.
Yeah.
But
Or,
this, or I have the opportunity, not the shoulds.
and then show me the way, or
Mhm.
show me how I discover that medicine. What is that?
and
You sh-
from your book, I can tell taking care of yourself looks and sounds differently depending on which chapter you're in.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yes. Great point.
One of the things that you've shared with me is the concept of what I would consider the elixir is
Mm.
you've discovered what it is for love.
Mm.
What does that love mean? And tell me how it can be self-love as well as loving others.
Well, I think it has to start with self-love.
Mhm.
And that's a really tough concept for people. Same with self-compassion. It's a process. I can tell you with my clients, it's we have to get into that concept, those concepts, through side doors and
Mhm.
cracks in the windows, and
Mhm.
because, so, I think you have to love yourself, and I think maybe it just starts with acceptance. You first, and even before that, awareness.
Mhm.
What is it that I'm truly feeling? Not what should I be
Mhm.
feeling? What, yeah, more, not what I should be feeling, but what am I feeling? What's actually going on? So there's that awareness piece, and then accepting it. Like accepting that I wanted to, you know, I was really mad at that therapist
Mhm.
for saying something so flip because
It
I
felt
didn't have
trite.
the tools.
Yeah.
But recognizing I felt that way, and then digging in, why do I feel that way? Why did that hit me that way? And, continuing to ask yourself questions. So the love piece is a process.
Mhm.
Um, and it has to start with really accepting and having compassion for the pain you are in.
Mhm. And taking that moment and acknowledging it and living in that pain for a moment. I've gone through a variety of grief seminars.
Mhm.
More recently, we had someone come into our workplace because one of our colleagues died.
Mm.
And so, as a group and working together, we needed to deal with the grief as well as know how to work in that situation.
Mhm.
And what I took out of looking at what can we do with our grief
Mm.
is is take that moment to figure out, just as you said, what can we best do right now?
Yeah.
What and turning it into a present opportunity, and knowing that the grief's going to be there.
Yeah.
But what do we need, to balance how we feel and what we do?
Yeah.
And that's where I think the tricky part is, giving ourselves enough time. There was one person that shared, I feel like if I start feeling it, I'll just cry for days.
Uh-huh.
So, but if we don't and we keep stuffing it, then
Yep.
we have a challenge as well.
Yeah. And I think that's a really great point, that sometimes we can't even acknowledge the pain because we don't have the time or the space or the support to really fall apart.
Mhm.
And so we just march on. But eventually, the body will let you know.
Mhm.
If you stuff that, the body will let you know.
Yeah.
I'll never forget years ago, in the wake of my divorce, I went to the gym for the
Mm.
first time in a long time.
Yes.
I came home and I cried for an hour and a half.
Mm.
And for a man of my gender, what that meant was like I connected into my energies and
Yeah.
physical emotions and all of that. And I'll never forget, but I needed it. I
Yeah.
needed it. And ever since then, if I need to feel something, I do something physical. You know,
Mm.
but
And I do
Great
think
point.
that's naturally some people go to their emotions first,
Mm,
and some go to their doing and keeping active, and
mm,
that doing allows them to feel like they're working through.
mm.
But the combination of
Right.
allowing ourselves to have both, even though
yeah,
I naturally come to doing first,
Yeah.
but then the feelings come out eventually.
Eventually.
Mhm.
And it helps when someone, for me, it was finally a therapist years later who said, I think I was brushing over an assault or multiple things that had happened to me when I was in school in Berkeley, California. And, and I sort of dismissed and, oh, well, move
Mhm.
on. And she
Mhm.
said, Susan, can you just give this just a couple of moments? Because I'm so anti-victim in
Yeah.
my personality profile
Mhm.
that I'm so fearful of being a victim
Mhm.
that I go the other extreme
Sure.
and I end up just dismissing the pain or even naming it. And it took someone saying that was sexual assault
Mhm.
or that was a date rape or that was, naming it.
And that it wasn't your fault, and you're not weak,
Yeah.
and vulnerability can be a place where you actually are very strong,
Yeah.
and allowing yourself to be vulnerable and say, this was hard.
Yeah, and even giving it a name
Yeah.
says, "Oh, this is something."
Yeah.
mm,
And it happened, and it was real. And I think that's part of sometimes the Minnesota nice
Mm,
is the veneer. So I don't want to bother anyone.
right.
I'll be fine.
I'll
And
be
that,
fine, and I am fine.
yeah, and everything will be
Wow.
fine. And that takes on a challenge. So with
And-
that, I want to make sure we give your
Yeah.
website.
The website is Wild Hart Coaching. Wild HART coaching.com is her website. Go there and we'll say a little more.
Book signing.
Book signing is on the 27th, which is actually tomorrow, 3 to 6 at blackstackbrewing.com.
And with that,
We'll
we'll be
say
right
more.
back,
Yeah.
and we'll be continuing our conversation about being brave and a hero in the midst of grief, and what can we do in discovering our path.
Crooners is a classic supper club with a wide range of entertainment. Make your reservations for a parade of international, national, and local artists in the main stage showroom, the intimate Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the seasonal Belvedere Under the Stars space. Or enjoy Maggie's Piano Lounge. Enjoy 4-star food and drinks with first-class supper club service. What are you waiting for? Go to croonersmn.com for more information and schedule. That's croonersmn.com.
Hi, I'm Bruce Klopfleisch. Join me every Sunday at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters. We'll talk about how civics, politics, and law affect you by highlighting a different topic each week. On this week's show, we cover the 17th Amendment to the Constitution, updates in Supreme Court cases, and how Trump is ignoring them, and talk about how Tom Emmer supports sending U.S. citizens to the prison in El Salvador. Tune in Sundays at 5 p.m. for Politics Matters with Bruce Klopfleisch to discover why government and civics matter, and podcast the show anytime on your favorite app.
Hi, I'm Philip Anthony, host of the Downright Upright Show, airing right here on AM 950 radio, Saturdays at 5 p.m. Join me as I dive into captivating conversations with people from all walks of life. As a proud member of the LGBTQ community, I celebrate diversity and beyond with unique stories that make us fantabulous. Please join me every Saturday at 5 p.m. or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, it's Jennifer from AM 950. I'm 57, and lately I've definitely been feeling it. Lower back pain, hip aches, brain fog, and serious lack of energy. That's when I decided to try Hypercharge Wellness, and I'm so glad I did. At Hypercharge Wellness, they focus on proactive wellness and medication-free solutions to help you feel better and live healthier. Their FDA-approved light therapy helped reduce my chronic pain and inflammation, and the results have been nothing short of life-changing. My back pain and stiffness are improving, and I'm finally starting to feel like myself again. They also offer laser therapy that targets muscles and joints, perfect for injury recovery and pain management. Whether you're dealing with fatigue, chronic pain, or mental fog, Hypercharge Wellness has treatments designed just for you to boost energy, improve clarity, and reduce inflammation. Take control of your health and wellness today with their $49.99 introductory session and consultation at any of their 3 locations. Visit hyperchargeclinic.com for more information.
Artworld is celebrating its 30th year. This popular free event is the largest open studio tour in the nation, a fan favorite with art lovers, families, and fun seekers alike. With 1,400 artists and 100 locations throughout Northeast Minneapolis, you'll meet potters, painters, weavers, woodworkers, and more. And you'll find all types of art at all price levels. Then there are the terrific bars, restaurants, and breweries in Northeast, plus music, entertainment, and art demos. With Artworld, you're set for 3 days of wonder. Start planning now. Artworld is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, May 16th, 17th, and 18th. Visit NEMA.org. That's NEMAA.org for details. You'll find an artist directory, maps, dining and brew guides, event and music schedules, even info on Metro Transit passes and trolley rides. Plus, new this year, a passport app can win you prizes, a commemorative sculpture and raffle, a special beer from prize, and 30 featured artists of Artworld. That's May 16th through the 18th in Northeast. Good morning. I'm Lori Fitz, and welcome back to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I am so glad that you have joined our conversation. Our topic today is talking with Susan Hart Gaines about her new book, Prioritize Your Self-Care, Reclaiming Your Path to an Extraordinary Life. And hosting with me is Rick Bernardo.
I am Rick Bernardo, and I know Susan going back some decades, first as a writer, and I want to say a little more about that. Metro Magazine featured a series of writing that is very, I would say maybe the foundation for a lot of what's in her book, because she wrote a series. Her name is Susan Hart Gaines, and her series was called Personal Gains.
Nice.
Get it?
Nice.
But it was actually where she chronicled her physical, emotional, and spiritual adventures through stories. And these stories, a lot of them are in the book and similar, and they echo a lot of that series as well. And about taking care and prioritizing self-care. We were talking about grief and other parts that may trigger or need taking care of ourselves. But what I got from the book is it's always something that if we don't do, something's going to catch up with us one way or the other. It's not like really a choice.
True.
That's what it seems like.
True. I think the body will speak to you. And I had, there's a lot of delayed grief. I think grief is really essentially about losing something or a call to reclaim something.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the body, if I push that down too long, I would, for me, get muscular pain, chronic muscular pain. And I told myself, oh, it's just about, working out and being a martial artist and tough it out and keep going. And I finally realized I needed to sit down and listen to what was going on. And it was really, pain started being a call to stop and ask myself what's going on.
You have a story about being in the Sierras and that helping you to discover being the leader within. Tell me about that.
So when I was 17, I went on a wilderness survival course, essentially 24 days in the Sierra Nevada wilderness. And 3 days of it were solo. So, and back then they didn't feel they needed to do a visual check. I guess they weren't as worried about liability. So I literally did not see a human being for 72 hours. I built up a rock cairn every day, and then I was told to be out of sight. The leaders would come by, knock it down, and that was our only way of knowing that I was okay and they had checked on me. And there was no food. We were supposed to fast, and it was supposed to be a vision quest. And so,
you paid for this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Actually, it was part of my high school graduation requirement.
Wow.
So as I do a lot of things, I didn't want to do it. It was sort of the call to adventure.
Yeah.
And I almost refused it if I could have, but I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so I made the most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And while I was out on the solo portion, this 3-day portion, I got really scared because it looked like it might rain. And I felt like if I got wet, then I would, get cold and da 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 da. And I was trying to calm myself down. So I said a little poem to myself and it was the first time I spoke aloud. And I said, "It's nice to know that if it rains, I'll be okay. It's nice to know." And I just kept rocking back and forth on this rock, overlooking this ravine. I was above the timberline, and I probably weighed 98 pounds. I mean, I had not had food, and it was a very rigorous. And as I said that and rocked back and forth, 3 deer came up from the ravine, a buck, a doe, and a fawn. And I froze and they froze. And I realized, well, wait, they came when I was talking. They're very intuitive animals. And so I kept rocking. And as I rocked, they grazed and they just stayed around me. And it took me years to really absorb that story, like just the gift of being able to call them essentially these prey animals that are, and I say prey because
They're creatures of prey. Yeah.
they are creatures of prey.
Yeah.
And they depend so much on being able to trust what's around them. And they trusted me and they came near me. And these were very wild deer.
And they felt safe.
They felt safe. And it made me realize that everything will be okay if I trust my deep knowing. And that was the beginning of, something of being a leader, but in a very deep way, of a leader who belongs.
So when you were able to self-care and take care of yourself, you created a space where others could feel safe and care for themselves, which I think is part of an interesting concept, that doing self-care actually can help others. So if your mindset is to be, how can I best support others, which caretakers and folks that want that, being able to take really deep care of yourself first and create that sense of safety for yourself first, may very well be the key to be supporting others to feel safe too, so that they can be on their journey.
That makes perfect sense. And I think that is exactly it. It's not we're not separate. We're part of something really, I believe very big. And to have that moment where I felt so small and so completely alone, like there weren't even trees there. And to have these animals come up and basically say,
Acknowledge.
that you're part of us. You're part of this world.
In Ojibwe, Native American, each animal has a medicine.
Yes.
And the four-leggeds are our brother and sisters.
For sure.
And the Native Americans believe that the deer has the spirit of gentleness.
It does. And innocence. And there's that sense of, and innocent is, really fresh and clean and seeing things, it's truly being a white belt.
And so to give you that support and that medicine was lovely for them to do as well. To reinforce that gentleness.
I felt so seen and loved and held,
And with that, I want to make sure that Rick shares how to get to your website as well as a book signing coming up.
Yes. I love that the deer said, let's chill and eat.
Oh, it's good.
What do we do? Let's eat. What we want to do is point out the website, which is wildheartcoaching.com. And she's also got a book signing 3 to 6 at blackstackbrewing.com is the website.
Oh, good.
As
I'm
well.
glad you know what it is.
3 to 6.
3 to 6. So you can check it out.
3 to 6. Come in and let's just meet and greet and get a beer if you want a beer.
And we'll be right back, and we'll have more to share about how to be with yourself and what does self-care look like.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, weekdays at 5 p.m. On our show, you'll hear about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. Weekly correspondents like Dr. Stately, State Senator Mary Kunesh, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake update us with the latest news from Turtle Island. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Listen weekdays at 5 p.m. or watch the show on Native Roots Radio social media accounts. Ho-wah!
Hi, this is Paul Metza, host of the Wall of Power Radio Hour. We have been on the air on AM 950 for 10 years. We feature cool people from all walks of life in all 50 states. We've had musicians, politicians, actors, poets, people with great stories or a tale to tell. Tune in every Saturday night at 6 p.m. on AM 950, and podcasts are available on all streaming services.
Hi, I'm Scott Shambot from Shambot Family Dentistry. We're the fear-free, shame-free dental office. We know dental anxiety and dental phobia are real. We'll take the time to get to know you and give you what you need to be comfortable at all times. We offer free nitrous oxide laughing gas and have high-tech options to help you feel calm and relaxed during your appointments. We'll help you get through every appointment in the most pain-free way possible. If you're having a dental emergency, we'll try and get you in the same day you call because we don't like to see anyone in pain. As my daughter Rachel says,
if you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. I've been going to Shambot Family Dentistry for years. They get me in last minute when I'm in pain and make regular checkups easy and comfortable.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
With your AM 950 forecast, this is Adam. Rain continues throughout the night and into the day on Monday, 73 for a high with a heavy chance of thunderstorms. Great Wall Restaurant, specializing in Szechuan and Mandarin cuisine. See their full menu at greatwallrestaurant.us. Call for takeout at 952-927-4439. Conveniently located at 4515 France Avenue South.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Good morning. I'm Lori Fitz, and welcome to Connections Radio Show, where we talk about ideas that matter. And I am very glad that you've joined our conversation. We're talking with Susan Hart Gaines about her new book, Prioritize Your Self-Care, Reclaiming the Path to an Extraordinary Life. And hosting with me is Rick Bernardo.
I'm Rick Bernardo, and I know Susan Hart Gaines for some years in different roles. And one of those roles also was in her experience in martial arts and fitness coaching. And I've been fascinated. I'm just a student of that for years myself. So I'm always fascinated by anything you reflect about the physicality of our being, which is always going to be there. It's not like, I have this idea sometimes, like if I sit on the phone or on the radio show, I just need my brain. Well, my brain is it's all connected to
you don't have an out-of-body experience?
I do, but then it comes back to reality as well. So it's a wonderful spectrum of experience, but I'm just saying I can't forget the physical for the moment. I maybe got another 50 years of working with that. Your book, by the way, is a wonderful chapter by chapter. It's so personal, and it's not just like I'm going to be your coach and here's what you do. It's really it goes deep into your life, and it was such a page turner. I didn't get to the end yet, and I just wanted to know how it all turned out. And here you are. Here you are.
Still alive. And this is how she turned out.
Yeah, it's something
all
like
good.
something like
Oh,
this.
good. Oh, good. So in our last segment, we started to talk about the Sierras and your experience being in the wilderness. Um, I'd like to have you share a little bit more about that sense of surrender and what that was like for you.
Surrender is so key. I do think it's a essential part of self-care, because there are many times in our lives where we just need to surrender, which is different than giving up. It's really a power move. It's really a hero's move to know when it's bigger than you. So for sure in the wilderness, I had to surrender. And when I did, I was given the message that I'm not alone. Each time when you surrender, there's a gift. And in childbirth, when I had an emergency C-section, I guess you could say the gift was my son. But it's terrifying. It was terrifying. I thought I was dying. And surrender has happened in multiple ways in my life. I've had to surrender with my mother's Alzheimer's, and somehow find a way to, I couldn't force something. I couldn't make her talk to me. I couldn't make her be there. I couldn't change her brain. So there are many, many times in life, it's really about recognizing that you don't have control in this situation.
You talk about breathing through pandemonium. What's that?
Well, I mean, the chapter is really about being in Minneapolis when George Floyd was killed. And, we're in the middle of COVID lockdown. And I felt like I was in this very contracted and isolated situation, terrified of the illness and pre-vaccine. And then George Floyd was killed, and it was like this explosion. Everybody went out. Not everybody, I'll speak for myself, but I couldn't sit. The call to justice was stronger than the fear of a disease. And I went out, but we have to keep breathing through our hardest times. And when all is chaotic outside and unknown, even through COVID itself, I actually ended up getting COVID before the vaccination, and I was alone at the time, and I had a lot of anxiety. And I remember I just had to, at one point, I looked on my Calm app, like, what do you do when you're about to have a panic attack? And I went into, I got it, basically hit the floor. I got onto the floor and I grounded myself and I started breathing, because that's all I could do. And I tried the box breathing and, just training myself to ground. And that's what all we have really is our breath and our bodies ultimately, and the present moment. And so it's finding ways to stay present, even in the scariest times, even in whether it's riots outside and the city burning, or you're terrified that you have this illness and what if you die? I mean, everybody has some example like this, and learning to ground, just get into your own feet.
I also hear in how you describe that is finding that we have choice. I think it's when we don't know if we have choice that it is so big that there's nothing we can do. It is finding what we can do in that moment, and that we do have a choice whether to stay in the panic or work on working through it.
Exactly. There is choice, and that when you recognize that, I mean, it may be just a sliver of a choice,
but that you can hold on to it
and amplify it somehow.
mhm.
And during the civil rights movement, my understanding of even the term self-care was really came out of the civil rights movement. It was sort of a political way of claiming that you matter. And it was people of color who recognized that they had to pace themselves in the long struggle. And so it's kind of born of political situations. It doesn't come from white upper class women who are talking about bubble baths
and going to the spa.
It's really our birthright, and it's necessary. And I'm not saying this is only for political situations, but whatever it is, I also work with a lot of doctors. They have to practice self-care in order to keep being of service. So whatever it is that you're doing that's of service, you need to take care of yourself, but it's not a nice to have. It's a necessity.
I think another way of looking at it perhaps is having the long vision.
Exactly.
And politics, it can look at short or long, but civil rights was all about the long vision.
Exactly.
And if you want to achieve, that heroic destiny, that heroic place of building community, tiring out and fading isn't going to help.
It's not useful.
But it's holding on to something bigger.
Exactly.
And what is that bigger for each of us?
And that is the question. Only we can decide that. It doesn't. What's bigger for me is not bigger for you necessarily. And I think there also needs to be no judgment about what's important and what purpose looks like.
I try to remember sometimes, because it's hard, that politics is just really how you get things done. It's not a corrupt government necessarily.
It's also your values.
It's values. It's from the root word for policies, and so how do we collectively achieve things? And all of that means you've got to take care of the vehicle. It's either personal or it's collective, or it's the organization, or it's your family, but there's different levels of it. But if you don't take care of that, you can't do what you want to do, and you can't see the results that you're committed to, which comes up that word warrior and commitment. Being a warrior is really very much about that.
And I think that's where it also can come back when someone says take care of yourself and you should take more bubble baths. Why we resent that. I mean, there's a bigger vision that we have for ourselves.
Absolutely.
That a bubble bath is not going to move us forward necessarily on that vision.
And I do want to clarify that there's nothing wrong with bubble baths and candles. No, because I
could move
think
you forward.
that could be the thing that you need
in that moment.
Exactly.
And I'm a big Epsom salt fan.
Yes.
So yeah.
I just want to and there's nothing. It's just that it's not a prescription that comes from some self-care guru. Here's the list of things to do.
And it's not indulgent, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's what you need in that moment.
And there may be in that moment a pause.
Right.
I just need to pause.
Right.
Because there's too much around me right now. And if I pause and take care of myself, I can get through it. Whatever it's trauma or a difficulty or bad day at work.
Exactly.
What does that look like so that I can hang on to what I really want, and how is that being accomplished, and what can I do to be part of that?
Yeah, it's key, I think, to balance what you need with whatever the field is calling for. What is this situation asking of you, and what are you able to give in an authentic and sustainable way?
And I've seen that in the corporate world, where people keep giving more and more and more, and the more they do, more that's expected of them, and they feel like they need to keep it up and to get to the next level, and they get to the next level, and pretty soon they diminish what it was that they may have started out wanting to be or wanting to have or wanting to accomplish. Because they get sucked into a philosophy that to help the corporate vision.
Exactly.
But I think it's really important that we each have a vision, and does the vision match?
Exactly.
And are we working together in them? And when is it that we might not want that promotion? That promotion may not be the best for us, because it may take away from time for other things that we want to do, and
Right.
have that be okay. That may be a heroic thing to do to take care of ourselves.
And what you're also pointing to is that how often we do things for the approval of others. Or,
and the corporate's great about that.
Exactly. and so that we end up not doing it always for ourselves. It's a should. And for me, that's one of the words that I pay attention to when should comes into my language.
Where did it come from?
That's usually not from my
Yes.
core. It's
Yeah.
about some expectation, and that is usually the antithesis of self-care.
And it's a good heads up.
Good
hey,
to notice.
Yeah. Did I just say should? Am I taking care of myself?
Exactly.
Is this
it's
really
a good trigger word?
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
different kinds of shoulds, right? You
Right.
know, really. So websites and events. Wild Hart Coaching, HART, reminiscent of the deer in her story. Wild
From
Hart
last
Coaching.
segment. From our last segment. Yep.
.com. Yeah. And Black Stack Brewing is a website to go to. That's a brewing book signing 3 to 7 or 3 to 6 is what I'm trying to say in St. Paul tomorrow.
It's a brewery where we can
It's a
hang out and
brewing.
have a beer and
Beer.
talk with Susan.
There's books somewhere in there with a beer. Yeah.
Yes.
But
book and
Susan's book, but she'll be there, right? I hope so.
I will
Because
be
you
there.
got to
Signing.
sign. You've got
I'm
to
gonna
sign.
be signing. I've been practicing my signatures.
Oh, that kind of signing.
God.
All right.
Oh yeah.
This-
No.
Well, our show's going way too fast, and we're coming up to our last segment in our right after some commercial break. But we've got some ideas to help in terms of like a little call to action, like something to be the audience to think about of ways to do that self-care. And Susan's going to be sharing that with us. So we'll be right back after just a few short commercials.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food purveyors. You'll find high-quality food and unique eating experiences with dishes from around the world. Just visit eatlocalminnesota.com for your next meal. Crooner's Supper Club offers a classic nightlife experience with 4-star food, drinks, and entertainment. Enjoy local, national, and international artists in the main stage, Dunsmore Jazz Room, or outdoors at the Belvedere Under the Stars. Or relax at Maggie's Lounge. Find your perfect concert experience at croonersmn.com. Crooner's Supper Club, where old school charm meets modern nightlife. Cafe Latte combines a cafe dining experience with gourmet quality food. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout along with gift cards. Just go to cafelatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at cafelatte.com.
Hello, everyone. I am Becky McNenn, host of Feels Out Loud, brought to you by Becoming Together Therapy and Wellness. This Sunday, tune in as we talk through how emotions are stored in our bodies and the physical and mental impact of this. If you have a question to share, visit our website at www.becomingtogethermn.com to find the Feels Out Loud page. We may share your question on the show. Join us at 9 a.m. to live and share mental health together.
Tune in for Philosophy Talk, the program that questions everything.
Except your intelligence.
Coming up, are rules meant to be broken?
No, rules help us coordinate and stop us from exploiting each other.
But don't we sometimes have to use our discretion?
Then what's the point of having rules in the first place?
So you can break them.
Are rules meant to be broken? Next time on Philosophy Talk.
Catch Philosophy Talk every Sunday morning at 8 on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. That's Philosophy Talk, Sundays at 8 on AM 950.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation.
Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Welcome back to Connections Radio Show. I'm Lori Fitz, your host. And on our show, we talk about ideas that matter. And we're so glad that you joined our conversation today. Our topic has been talking with Susan Hart Gaines about her new book, Prioritize Your Self-Care, Reclaiming Your Path to an Extraordinary Life. And hosting with me is Rick Bernardo.
I am Rick Bernardo, and we've got Susan Hart Gaines with us. Her book, Prioritizing Self-Care. And we were talking about all different forms of her existence in the sense of being a writer, being a personal coach, being a fitness trainer. And coaching can be such a vital part of somebody's life. It can happen formally or informally, but I know without bouncing things off of other people in dialogue, even if it's in dialogue with nature, I don't achieve what I want, and I don't have. So coaching, I always see as such a vital thing, and it can be key in all our path of healing, which is very much about your what your book is about. Say a little more about the nature of healing, because it can sound very much like we're broken and I got to fix this.
Healing is really not about becoming someone new. It's about reclaiming who you are. I don't believe anyone is broken. We're all whole. And it's about coming back to that wholeness and remembering. So healing is a way of coming home to yourself.
And throughout the show, we've talked about our heart. We've talked about love. You also mentioned it's not something for the faint-hearted.
No.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really about, I really want to dispel the myth that there's something soft and self-indulgent about self-care. It's not. It's really for the warrior. It's not for the weak or faint of heart. It's for the rebel. It's for someone who, it's an act of resistance to claim your time, yourself, what you want in the face of all the shoulds.
I love how you put self-care is a sacred rebellion.
Mm.
And
It is.
give me a little bit more.
It's our birthright. It's not again, this thing that we do with our money. Sure, if you have money, you might go away somewhere great, but even that is not a guarantee that you are going to take this sacred birthright and truly listen to yourself and take care of yourself.
That echoes so much with any time. I've got friends my age that can't walk anymore. It's because they didn't take care of. I mean, I'm blaming them, but I stop and take care of myself and focus on that only because I have clear vocational callings. And I'm protecting that. I'm protecting what I was born for. And that, you see, I'm almost getting righteously rageous because it's hard to do that in our culture.
Yeah.
It's just to give permission to stop and I'm taking care of what I was born to do, so I can do it, or I can be it.
What I think is interesting is that we're talking about a sacred rebellion and what we're born to do. And on the other hand, there's some of these, what you do in exercising and running and being out there is also very practical. There's a practical side. I mean, there's a sacred side. There's a sense of what our mission and what our purpose is. But with that, you've got some very practical ways of looking at it, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. And what works again for Rick or you may not work for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, not everybody's a gym person, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Not everybody connects to their body in that way. And any act of physicality can be sacred. It can be a way to actually spiritually connect.
And it can be practical.
And it is practical, but if you don't love it
Uh-huh.
and you don't feel a connection to it, you won't keep doing it.
Yeah. You have
Yeah,
a suggestion about pausing. That's one of my favorite. I just
Mm.
need to pause because it's like my brain
Yeah.
just needs to catch up.
Yeah.
And I need to just let the body and the brain reunite and figure out what we're doing next. Because you
Absolutely.
can feel tilt at a certain point, and time and breathing.
Breathing.
And connecting to nature for me is one of the things that's really important.
Connecting to
And you have overall in your book this sense of whatever you're doing, do it in such a way that it makes you want to do it again.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah. Reinforce it for yourself.
yeah. If you don't do that, it's just a recipe for
Failure.
It's good
You want to do it.
resistance.
and looping back to your first elixir, it's good medicine, not bad medicine.
Exactly. And what makes it good is, does it fill your soul? Does it?
Yeah.
Do you feel good doing it?
So the couple things what our readers want to know.
Mm.
So tell us a little bit about that.
What our readers want to know.
What our audience or what your readers will want to know.
Yeah, that self-care is for everyone.
Mhm.
Self-care it doesn't have to cost a dime.
Mhm.
It could be pausing for 10 minutes or less. It could be pausing for 3 breaths that are completely present. It's it could be taking a walk. It could be anything. It's all, you have access to everything needed for self-care.
So what you're saying is you do you.
You do you.
And it sounds simple, but it takes some
But
focus.
figuring out how
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are
Yes.
is
In
really
any
important.
given moment,
Yeah.
right?
That's a lifetime journey.
I know
It
we have
is.
some call to actions.
Prioritize Your Self-Care is on Amazon Books. It's both in Kindle version and it's hardcover. You can knock on that door in different ways. Blackstack Brewery, blackstackbrewery.com is where she will be. Well, she's going to
Where
be in
you
the
can
real
find
place
information.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know
book
if
signing,
they'll find
3 to 6.
information at the .com. So just show
Well,
up.
it's just to get the address.
Oh, right.
Prior
yes.
Avenue.
Absolutely.
Because it's in St. Paul. There's
It's
a clue.
in St. Paul, 3 to 6 p.m. on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly. And wildheartcoaching.com is Susan's website. HART for the heart part. Wildheartcoaching.com. Her website is a wonderful set of resources for you.
There's one particular resource, isn't there?
What?
Oh, there's lots of good resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have about 30 seconds. If you'd like to share, what would you like to end with, to impart to our audience about you and your book?
Yeah, just that self-care is an act of bravery, and that you matter. Everybody matters, and you matter. You must take care of yourself. And if you're one of those people that goes out and takes care of others, you matter even more. Take care of yourself.
And what I'm hearing you saying is sometimes we diminish who we are and what we need.
Absolutely.
And if we can make sure that we realize that we're important, others will too.
Absolutely.
Just like that deer.
Exactly. Thank you.
Absolutely. We delighted having you here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Women, are you ready to empower your wellness? Join Hypercharge Health and Skin Deep